there, Big Brother fans. It is me, Mike. It is, I think, November 23rd, a Wednesday. I haven't recorded a CarCast for a couple of months. I've been meaning to the past few days. I thought I'm going to do it, but I hadn't. And as it happens, today I am traveling. I worked a half day this morning, but I'm traveling this afternoon. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to do it now. And so I've done battle with my phone because this dang Spreaker app does not like to talk to Bluetooth. So I have to turn off Bluetooth. And if I had wired headsets, I'd use them, but I don't. So I'm just holding my phone while I talk. And we'll get through this. But what is up? Big Brother-wise, you know what? Not much. If you're looking for Big Brother content, this is not going to be the CarCast to have it. I certainly don't have any details about the next season of Big Brother. Nor do I have a whole lot of details about the current season of Big Brother or the most recent season of Big Brother. I just don't, as most of you know, pay a whole lot of attention to it once it is over. I can say a couple of bits. Taylor and Joseph, right? That's where I'm at. That was his name, right? They're dating. Now I gotta pause this and double check. I'm gonna be right back. I feel stupid. Okay, I was right. Wow, mental lapse. So Taylor and Joseph are now in theory an item. That has happened. And Monty did not go on they went to visit Canada. I know they didn't go. They went to visit Canada. And normally the top three finishers go to Canada to whatever thing they go to. And Monty didn't go and Joseph did go. And that's when you started to feel like, things are a bit uncomfortable here. I can't tell you anything more than that. Just that, it's, you know what, it is what it is. I don't care. It's again, as almost every season, once it's over, it's over. And, it's over for me. But so those of you wanting any more Big Brother content, I got nothing right now. I did just want to update you on what's going on in general. Actually, Twitter was the main reason I came to do this. I was like, you know what? Is Twitter falling apart? You know, a week ago, we were like thinking, this may be it for Twitter. Twitter may be, gone. And maybe some of you, well, most of you do Twitter because this is posted through Twitter for the most part, but most of you, maybe some of you are out of the loop. So I thought I will give you a quick little, it's impossible to recap the whole thing, but just give you a quick little tidbit about what the heck's going on with Twitter and what that means. And then I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the shows I've been watching, other shows, just general catch up on me. And that'll be it. And wish you a happy or a merry and a happy Thanksgiving because tomorrow is Thanksgiving. So I thought, you know what, I should just say hi to everybody and make sure everyone's doing okay. So, Twitter. So those of you that don't know, which I know there's a lot of people that don't have a clue, I'm sure, but those of you that don't know, Elon Musk, he who owns Tesla, owns SpaceX, and talked about jokingly about buying Twitter earlier this year, and then actually made an offer, and then said he wasn't going to do it, but then he was told you have to do it by the courts, officially took ownership of Twitter a couple of weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, whatever. And he, in order to get the financing to make this deal work, he worked with people and got a lot of loans, rumored to be like, okay, he paid $44 billion for Twitter. And you're like, what is Twitter? That's exactly right. What is Twitter? What the hell did he buy for that $44 billion? Besides a company that has really never made money, has never had a bottom line, profit. Of course, they're making money, but they're not actually, they weren't giving out dividends to their stockholders, which is where you know that you're actually pulling a profit down. But Elon Musk, in his craziness, decided that he could buy it and make it better. And so he's now done that. And Twitter had about, I want to say, now the numbers aren't going to be right. I think they had at least, I think, 10,000 employees. And then in addition to that, they had contractors and stuff. And he's basically gutted the company by a large chunks of the employees, saying in essence that they aren't necessary to run. In theory, implying that they're overpaid and they aren't all needed and it's wasteful and he's going to clean it up. We'll see. There have been talks about how I've had arguments online with people about this already. About it's just programmed. All the programs are working. It should keep working just fine. But I am not a programmer. I am an IT person, but trust me, there's a ton of IT people out there that would look at me and laugh and say, "You're not an IT person, dude." So that's fine. All I'll say is that the best analogy with a little discussion that I came up with someone is, it's kind of like he grabbed the car that's running. He bought a car that's running, and he's driving it, but he's not going to take it to get tuned up or checked out or anything, right? And when it breaks, there may not be any mechanics around to fix the problems. And so while it's running right now, the question is, what happens when it stops running? Will they be able to fix the problems? And that's what we don't know. And we'll find out eventually, probably. That's the best analogy I can come up with. And so there was about a bit of a panic, and I was one of them that wasn't sure. I mean, because you did have people reporting like it may not make it through the weekend, or he may just shut it down with all the people he's firing. I mean, the numbers have been just astonishing, and the legal ramifications are just crazy because he's letting people go in multiple countries, and they can't and some of you, again, those of you that know this stuff, I'm sorry for repeating it. Those of you that don't, hopefully you're learning a little bit. But for example, he fired a large portion of Twitter employees in the UK or in Europe. Well, the problem is that you can't fire people, but every country and every state in some cases has different rules and regulations about terminating employment, benefits, all kinds of different things. And you can't, I guess, at least in either the UK or in Europe or in both, maybe the European Union, you can't fire somebody by email, which in essence appears to be what he did in some cases. And so there's lawsuits galore being filed. Now, maybe his thoughts are, we'll just pay those off and everything, but I just don't know. So it is continuing. Twitter is continuing to work. I have noticed a couple of times where things seemed a bit slow for me, but you know what? That could have happened on any given day, and I would have been fine with it, and I would have never noticed it. So I'm not going to say Twitter is broken. There's definitely been cases that have been pointed out where the moderating seems to have gone to hell in a handbasket, and you can kind of get away with a lot more stuff than you used to be able to get away with. For example, the people that posted entire movies on Twitter, now they cut it up into 2 minute and 10 second segments to do it, which someone's like, well, what's the point in that? That's not really, it wasn't the point that they weren't expecting people to actually watch the movie, but they were just trying to show that this normally would have been shut down much quicker by Twitter, but there aren't people around to catch these kind of things now, so these kind of things are happening. All right, so why am I talking about all this? Again, I just was like, I wonder if it's going to go away. I do, and I kind of felt like it's like, well, is it going to be here? And I said in the morning, well, I guess it's here. Now, there are lots of people that said, yeah, whatever. Now, the problem with that is that if I was right, if Twitter went away, no one was going to be around to say, wow, you were right, Mike, because no one would be able to talk because Twitter was gone. But if Twitter stays, then those people always look like they're right. Eventually, maybe someday, Twitter will go away, and all the naysayers, no one's going to be around to point out to them that, hey, you were wrong, because no one will be able to talk. So what are options? And again, remember, before Twitter, there were other things that people did. I got my Twitter account, my original one, in 2009. Before 2009, I was doing things mainly on web pages. I mainly had BigBrotherGossip.com and ILoveReality.com, and I would write my updates there, and people would comment. People would email me. We would have discussions that way. I never really used Facebook that much. I never really used MySpace that much for updates. I pretty much did a web page, and that's how I did it. And it was a very popular, very busy. I posted a link to my Big Brother Gossip page last week when I was saying, just in case it goes away, here's where you can find me. And someone said, I used to go to that page all the time. It's like, yeah, so did a lot of people. And then Twitter came along and it sucked all the traffic away from it. So if Twitter happens to go away, there will be ways to get your updates. And that's the point. It's like, just figure out, get your life in order. Figure out what you're going to do now. Don't wait until you don't have any resources. And one of the resources can be BigBrotherGossip.com. I would not say ILoveReality.com because that site is still in limbo. I transferred ownership because I got sick of GoDaddy, and I have yet to work out the kinks to where I've decided to fire the page back up. So right now the page just kind of says coming back eventually. But Big Brother Gossip is still there, still working. Not getting much traffic, but it is there. And I mentioned, if Twitter goes away, hey, this is where you can find information. But as long as Twitter is still working, that's probably going to be my primary place. Now, I also did visit some other things. I made sure my Instagram account was working, although I honestly can't see posting there because I just don't want to post a picture every time I want to say something. Mastodon. So Mastodon is kind of like Twitter, but kind of not. And frankly, I'm an IT guy, and it's still kind of clunky and cumbersome to me. So if I'm not super crazy about it, I just can't see the average non-techie person embracing it unless they change some of their interfaces, which I don't know if they will, or I don't know. And I'm not saying they should. I'm not screaming it's horrible, don't use it. I'm just saying it's not that easy to use, and so I'm probably not going to be using it that much. And if I'm not, then I can't see just average, everyday Big Brother fans using it. So I'm kind of like, it's there, but I probably won't use it if I can find something else that works. And it may be as simple as saying BigBrotherGossip.com works, and if you want to send me a comment, right on Mastodon or something. I'm not sure. But again, Twitter is still around, so until that goes away, these are all just thoughts. I'm just, here's my box of things. I have Mastodon, I have Instagram, I have BigBrotherGossip.com. So I've got stuff. I've got ways to communicate about Big Brother if I want to. Just be prepared that if Twitter goes away, just think about where you're going to go and how you're going to get your information. And then I listed other web pages. I mean, Big Brother Network has always been a web page. Hamster Watch is a web page. There's a couple others, Big Brother Live or Big Brother Access, and I listed them. Big Brother Daily, that one, which I really never referenced because they've got like 500,000 followers at this point, and they, but a lot of you probably follow them and everything, and so it's like they actually have a web page. Although it's interesting to me that their web page didn't get updated after the finale. It was like the finale came, but it doesn't. I don't even know if it says that Taylor won on their webpage, which I found kind of odd. But whatever. So that's what's going on. The Twitter itself, the whole thing with Elon Musk and everything is it is the best reality show going right now, in my opinion. I don't watch Survivor. I'm back on my not watching Survivor thing again, right? I watched it a couple of seasons when they had the coaches. When Boston Rob was a coach was probably the last one I watched. When Sandra and Boston Rob were coaches the first time, that's I think the last season I watched. So it's been a minute. It's been several seasons since I last watched it, but I just can't do it. I just couldn't. It's like, nah, I'm not doing it, and I just have no interest. So, but if you're looking for something to watch, I've tweeted out the links. There's just some major stuff going on. Twitter is just a nonstop dumpster fire of stuff going on as you watch Elon Musk kind of like, it's like, oh my God, I can't believe he's saying this and doing this, and he spent $43 billion to buy this company that he doesn't really seem to care if he just runs it into the ground. Even though he says he doesn't want to, he's not doing the kind of things that would keep advertisers interested, and advertisers are the main source of his revenue. Although he seems to be trying to find other ways to get revenue, it's still going to be awful hard to offset the millions upon millions upon millions of dollars that advertisers were giving to him. So, I don't know. It's fun to watch. I look at my follows. You'll see an account that I started following. It's like the best of Twitter or best of dying Twitter or something. I follow that. There's another webpage that I check out, and I just read on all the things that are going on. And it's like, oh my gosh, I cannot believe he did that. Oh my gosh, I cannot believe they did that. That's kind of just how things have been going. So, yeah, it's crazy. So other than that, okay, Twitter, we've talked about, right? We talked about the fact that I don't know much about Big Brother. The other thing I said, I talked about, what am I watching? I have been watching lots of stuff, and I really should make a list, but it's not, it's very, very, very little reality TV. It's very little reality TV. It's a lot of smaller shows that don't have long runs, maybe not a lot of seasons. I did watch the House of Dragons. I did watch, what else? Better Call Saul. Did that end during Big Brother? I think that ended during Big Brother. So I watched that. I watched. I'm trying to think in my head that shows I didn't. So like The Flight Attendant, that was a show that Kaylee Cuoco. I never. Season 2 came out. I haven't watched it all the way through. I keep meaning to. Only Murders in the Building. Good show. You should check it out. Season 2 was still pretty good. Just finished up, so season 2 was good. I just watched. My wife and I binge watched a show called The English. That was a bit different. It's very good though. Enjoyed it in its own way. It wasn't. I thought it was going to be super, super bloody and gory, and it wasn't as bad as I thought it might be. It certainly wasn't on Game of Thrones, House of Dragons, kind of, whatever kind of nutsy craziness. So it was good. The Serpent Queen is a show that I watched. Liked that. We'll be interested to see the next season of that, assuming there is one. I need to pull up my list. Let me pull up. I'm going to pause this for another half a second. And as my friend John, who will be listening to this sooner or later, says, they can't tell when you pause it. I know. I think it's partly in my brain that I know that, okay, this is what I'm talking about. Now I'm going to pause it so that I know when I start it back up that that's what I was talking about. So it's almost that I'm saying it to myself that I'm going to pause it. So shout out to John. Hope you're having a good break, because he was having a vacation this week. But let me pause this, and I'll be right back after I check my list of shows that I've been watching so that I can tell you. All right? I'll be right back. Okay, here we go. So, I say this. Yeeps. And I got to pull it up so I can look at it. Millisecond here. We go to. So, the most recent stuff I'm watching, and I'm going to list all the names, and then maybe I'll talk about a few of them. My wife and I just started watching Tulsa King. That's got Sylvester Stallone in it. It's all right. I like it. I've only watched 2 episodes so far. Pretty good. I think it's on Paramount Plus, so those of you that have Paramount Plus can check it out. Oh, by the way, here I am going to talk about Big Brother a little bit, but as has been reported in the last day, both Netflix and Hulu are getting seasons of Big Brother. Netflix is getting 10 and 14, and Hulu is getting 3, and I can't remember what other one. Maybe 16 or maybe 20. I don't know. But anyways, so that's interesting. But I'm going to guess most of you have access to Big Brother if you want to watch it through Paramount Plus, right? You don't have to go to Netflix or something. And most of you probably have seen those seasons, right? I mean, I don't know. I just didn't find it that big of an interesting news, except for the potential of exposing more people to Big Brother. But if they're going to watch season 3 and say, "Oh, I love this show," and then they're going to tune into the new season in the summer, they're going, "This isn't like that at all." So, yeah, whatever. Okay, so Tulsa King, good show. I would recommend it. Kind of a mafia drug world, except for in Tulsa, Oklahoma, right? White Lotus season 2. That's a quirky show. Like it. I'm not quite up. Today's a new episode. Yes, I will watch today's episode sometime soon. Good show. Liked it. We're going to skip over the next one in my list because that's what I'll talk about a little bit more. Andor. That's a Disney, right? That's on Disney. That's a Star Wars show. It is a much darker Star Wars. It is a precursor to Rogue One. Rogue One was the show that was a precursor to the original Star Wars, Episode 4. The very first Star Wars movie. They made a movie called Rogue One, which was about a band of misfits that steals the plans to the Death Star and get them to Princess Leia. That's the premise, right? It basically ends with them getting the plans to Princess Leia. Spoiler alert. If you didn't know that, well then I'm sorry. It's been out for years. And it's not like that's really a spoiler because that was the whole point. You know the plan's making because the next movie happened. But anyways, now they've made a TV series that has one of the characters from that Rogue One, and it's his story, his origin story, as it were, leading up to Rogue One. So I don't even remember him in Rogue One. I've only watched Rogue One like once, so I may go back and watch Rogue One again now, just to see how he develops, because it's the same actor too. So it's been really good. I've enjoyed it. I kind of stopped watching it to kind of let a few episodes build up, and I think today is the finale. So I think I have like 4, maybe 5 episodes that I can binge watch, and I'm going to. By the way, sometimes I don't like talking about these things and tweeting that I'm watching these things for fear that people are going to spoil things on me. And so that's sometimes why I'm kind of quiet about what I'm currently watching, because I just never know when someone's going to say, "Oh, I love that Bob died." Wait, what? Don't tell me that. Let's see. All right, next, Billy the Kid. I don't know. It looked good. I can't even tell you what it's on, but I got a copy of it because I thought it was something my wife might enjoy along with me. Oh, it's like Billy the Kid's origin story, right? It's like him coming over as a little kid from like Ireland or being born here, but his parents are Irish. I don't know. Looked good. My wife likes those kind of shows, Western shows like that. So when I see those and they look kind of interesting, that I'm interested in them too, I grab them. And so I grab them in my nefarious means that I couldn't tell you what this is showing on. This may have been on Showtime or HBO Max. I just don't know. But I have a copy that I can watch later. This is a show that no one probably has heard of, unless you're somewhere in the UK. There's a show called The Larkins, which I think is a BBC show. I don't think it's been shown anywhere here, but it seemed kind of popular. And so I pulled it up, and it's just pure, simple family entertainment. It is nothing scandalous, no bad lang. I don't know. It's just a fun little watch. It's something when you don't want to stress out too much or watch. So my wife and I have been watching those episodes every once in a while. Also, I think it's called Five Sisters. That's actually how I find The Larkins, looking for the Five Sisters, which is another, I think it's a UK show. I don't remember what it was on. But it's about, or Four Sisters, whatever it's about a bunch of sisters. It takes place in Ireland, and it starts right away with they basically, it seems like, it appears that they conspire to murder one of the sisters' husbands. And by the way, the first episode starts with them prepping to go to a funeral. So again, not much of a spoiler there. I just haven't gotten to the actual how the guy dies yet, because that's what they build up to. I think the whole season is going to be building up to how he dies. But you know he eventually dies, you just don't know how, right? So it's kind of told in a lot of flashback. I'm not watching Yellowstone, but I did get it for my wife. There's a show called Wedding Season that I haven't watched yet that I got because I thought when I saw the trailer for it, it's another show. It looked interesting. Now, there's actually 2 shows called Wedding Season out there. This is the one about a bride who it looks like the entire wedding party except for her ends up dead, like food poisoning or something. And it seems to be a bit of a comedy, kind of a dark comedy. So that's in my list of to be checked out, possibly watching. I already mentioned the English. Handmaid's Tales, I have at least 4 or 5 or 6 episodes to watch of that right now to get caught up. Again, that's a very dark show. You don't want to watch The Handmaid's Tales unless you just know. Don't watch it if you get too, if you can get too depressed about crap, don't watch it because it is a depressing show. The person never seems to win. They win, but the victory is so short-lived. They win and then things just get bad again. So there's that, but I'm watching it. Yellow Jackets, I think Yellow Jackets may already be out in season 2 or something. I haven't seen it yet. I heard about it. I hadn't watched it. It seems like it might be good to watch, so I'm going to check it out. I've got it in my queue of things to watch. It's told, again, I guess in flashback form. It's about a soccer team that crashes, a women's soccer team that crashes in the wilderness and all the nasty, bad things that happen when they're trying to survive. But it's also told at least partly in flashback form. So I'm interested to check it out. A show called Avenue 5, which has got the guy from House. And it's kind of a science fiction, kind of a comedy. He's flying. He's the pilot of a luxury spaceship that goes off course and ends up, it's kind of like the Gilligan's Island, and not quite, but it was supposed to be a 3-hour tour and it ends up being a 6-year tour or something, and all these rich idiots who, want to get off or can't get off or are stuck on the ship. It's kind of mindless, silly comedy, science fiction-y stuff, and I'm enjoying it so far, but it is not, I don't mind if I walk out of the room for 30 seconds and come back. I'm not going like, oh my God, I missed something. No, don't care. What else? Already said House of the Dragon. Ring of Power, I watched that. It's all right. It's, the Lord of the Rings, J.R.R. Tolkien thing. It was all right. I enjoyed it. I don't see how they can make their money back as much money as was spent on it, but I watched it, and I liked it. But I wouldn't tell anybody to watch it unless you were into that kind of stuff. I'm not going to tell any of you should watch it. If you're interested, check it out. But I'm not going to say, oh, you really got to check it out, even if you don't think you like that kind of stuff. That's not where I'm going to go with it. Welcome to Wrexham, right? Wrexham. That's an interesting show. I watched it because it's about soccer, and it's what Ryan Reynolds and another guy from the Sunny in Philadelphia went in halvesies on a Wales soccer club. It was interesting. I liked it. I watched it. I will watch the next season. Again, if you're into that kind of stuff, you might enjoy it. If you don't like Ryan Reynolds, you shouldn't watch it. If you don't like soccer, you can watch it because it isn't really that soccer heavy. I mean, they're playing soccer, but it's more about relationships. But still, just keep it in mind. Ted Lasso's more you're up to your speed, probably. If you like Ted Lasso a lot, you might want to check it out. But it is not Ted Lasso-ish, other than it's about soccer in the UK and a soccer team and people not understanding soccer that are trying to run a soccer team in a certain way, right? So, anyways, that's that. And that's the end of my list. There's more, but I'm kind of getting close to where I want to wrap this up. It's been 30 minutes. I'm sure some of you are like, oh, it's been so great. I haven't heard you. Great. That's cool. And that is so cool. I'm glad that some of you are like, Jesus Christ, he's still talking? Sorry. Yes, but you probably aren't listening anymore anyways. That's it. Deep breath, Mike. We're going to wrap it up. And just say, so there's some shows to check out. If you're interested. If you haven't heard me mention a show and you're like, oh, Mike would like this, I should tell him about this. Tell me. I might have seen it. I still watched other shows that I haven't even talked about, but these are just shows that I come across, and I think they're really good. And there's so much out there now And there's so much crap out there, and there's so much good stuff too. And I like a good binge watch of shows, and I have to find shows that my wife and I can watch together. And a lot of times there's stuff that I watch by myself too. So, she hasn't watched a lot of those shows. A lot of those shows were not on the list that she's watched. It's just stuff that I've watched. Because I have. Oh, I know. One last show, and then I will go, and I'll keep this kind of short. I tweeted about it. It's a show called The Traitors. Okay, like traitors, like Traitors. Like they're going against the group. And it's an Australian show for now. There's apparently a US and a UK version in the works. As a matter of fact, I know someone who, when I mentioned it to a small group of people, friends, he mentioned that he actually applied for it in February, never heard back. So apparently they were casting for the US version back in February. So it's probably either being recorded or has been recorded. So maybe it'll show up this summer somewhere. But it is it's not a very complicated reality show, mystery. I have said it kind of a silly way. And I still got to watch The Mole on Netflix, by the way. The new version of The Mole that came out on Netflix. I need to watch that. It's gotten really good reviews by people, so I should check it out. But speaking of that, this show, The Traitors, I almost kind of call it like The Mole for Dummies. And I say that having not watched The Mole since Anderson Cooper hosted it way back when, so I don't even remember all the premise. But the premise of this show is they took 24 people, they bring them in a room, they sit them in a circle, and they know why they're there. They know what the premise is, and they say, we're going to tap. Everybody puts on blindfolds, and we're going to touch 4 of you on. They don't say how many. We're going to touch some of you on the shoulder. If we touch you on the shoulder, you are a traitor. And so, as it turns out, the number is 4. They tap 4 people on the shoulder, and they know they're traitors, and they get to basically, quote, murder somebody every night. Right? Every night, the 4 of them get together. And they decide on who they want to kill. That eliminates them from the game, right? They're out of the game. They're trying to win money, by the way. The whole end prize is $250,000. And that's what they're in for. And if there are any traitors left when the game ends, then the traitors and the traitors alone get the money. So if there's 1 traitor or 2 traitors or 3 traitors, they get to split the money. If there's 1 traitor, they get all the money. If there's 1 traitor, and they call them the Faithful, which is a bit of the name. I bet money they changed that when it comes to the U.S. version. The Faithful just sounds weird to me, and I bet they come up with a different name in the U.S. version. But that's what they call it in Australia, the Faithful, kind of like housemates and house guests. In Australia, it's housemates. In the U.S., it's house guests. So the Faithful are the non-traitors. And even if 1 traitor makes it through to the end, it doesn't matter how many Faithful are left, the traitor gets all the money. The Faithful, the only way they get money is if every single one of them left at the end is a Faithful. And then I think at the end, if that's how it works out, then they get to decide, they get to vote whether they're going to share it with each other or not. So you can also say, I think if you say, no, I'm not sharing it, I'm not sure how that works. And obviously, I'll tell you what, it didn't end up that way. It didn't end up with all the Faithful at the end. That's not a spoiler because, it's just, at least 1 traitor made it to the end, and I'll just leave it at that. And that's not a big game ruiner as the game unfolded, because I have watched the whole thing. It was fun to watch. During the day, they do competitions to contribute to the pot of money. And here's a problem with the bit, is that there's no reason for the traders to impede winning the money. So they're in it too. So no one is trying to work against the group. They're just all trying to win the money. So, you'd think if they said, well, if there's $50,000 out there, right? You got 5 places that you have to get to. For every place you get to, you get $10,000. And every place you don't get to, the traders get $10,000, get that money. Then it would be in the traders' best interest to keep them from getting, so there would be a trader's pot and a Faithful pot. And I could see that would be a little bit more interesting, because that would cause the traders to be willing to take a few more risks and do things that might get them spotted and called out. But they didn't. So the traders, the whole time, they're in it for everything too. They want to win as much money as possible because it's one communal pot. So I have a feeling that might change eventually if this show takes off. That I just don't see I didn't care about the competitions. I could fast forward through the competitions because I don't care. It doesn't matter. At the end of the day, nothing's going to happen during that competition that's going to change the outcome of the game other than how much money they win. So I would just kind of fast forward through some of the competitions. But the other thing that happens during the day besides the competitions is that, and this isn't every single day, obviously, they skipped some of these things sometimes, but for argument's sake, every day they would do a competition and then they would banish someone. And then at night, someone would get murdered. The banishing is when, as a group, they sit around and they just vote someone out, right? They just vote someone out. They say, I'm banishing you. And in theory, they're trying to banish the traitors to get rid of all the traitors. But a lot of times there's only 4 traitors. There's 20 non-traitors. So if the traitors sow enough, confusion and misinformation, then it's very likely they're going to vote out a non-traitor as much. And then the person goes to the front and says, I was a faithful or I was a traitor. And that's how it ends. And it goes to the end. It was like, how many episodes was it? Maybe 12? Maybe more? It was good. I enjoyed it. Now, thanks for telling me about this, Mike. How the hell am I supposed to watch it? Because you just said it's an Australian show. Well, that's where the video site that I tweeted about is handy. And it is, I've talked about this site before. It is a site that has Australian reality television. I do not know how they maintain themselves. I don't know how they stay up, but they've been up for several years now, to the point where I'm not afraid of sharing their name because they seem to be kind of impervious to getting shut down. So I am going to tell you right now the name of the site. But first, I am going to double check the site before I tell it to you because I don't want to tell you the wrong one. So again, this is for you, John. I'm pausing it. 1 second. So the site is shsamharryvideos.net. So just the letter shvideos.net. That's it. You go there. There's a ton of TV shows there. You have to navigate yourself around the site. It works on your phone. It'll work on your computer. You can find it. The one annoyance that I have with the site is that when you find a show, it lists the most recent episodes first, which can kind of give away things. When you see a teaser, if you see a preview clip shot of the finale, well, then you know who made the finale. So you kind of have to be very conscious of that. And when you find the show you want, quickly scroll to the bottom. And once you start the one episode at the on that window, you can tap next episode, next episode, next episode. So you just have to get to the first page. So, but if you go there, if you search for The Traitors, you will find it. Other shows that are on there, by the way, there's seasons of Big Brother Australia, several seasons of Big Brother Australia. There are seasons of Love Island Australian. These are all Australian versions, by the way. There's some Survivor, I believe. There's Beauty and the Geek. A couple of seasons of that, which I really like the Australian version of that show. So there's a lot. There's so much. There's Australian Bake Off. There's just a ton. There's hours and hours and hours of content you can watch. And I'm going to tell you this right now. If you've never watched Australian reality television, you are going to love it. At least initially, because it is just, in my opinion, it's refreshing. How's that? I'm not going to say it's better. I do kind of think it's better, but I'm not going to say it's better. It's just refreshing. The state, you just get used to it. And now as I've watched quite a bit of this now, I kind of start to see the patterns and stuff. But so I'm okay with it. I really like watching Australian reality television. So you should check it out. That was the last one. Now I'm done. We're at 40 minutes, longest CarCast I have done in ages, but it's been ages since I did one. So I hope you're all well. Shout out to everybody. Hey, I still have patrons. They are still supporting me. Thank you, my patrons. I appreciate it. If you have an interest in being a patron, you go to patreon.com/bbgossip and become a patron. It is what it is. There's not a per episode fee. It's a monthly thing. You can put down whatever you want. So we'll leave it at that. I will wish all of you in the U.S. a happy Thanksgiving. Belated happy Thanksgiving to the Canadians that might hear this, and anybody else throughout the world, wherever you are. Happy whatever day is relevant to you in the past month or so, or in the next coming month. How's that? We'll just kind of do an all-encompassing happy day. That's it. I'm out of here. You can always ping me at Twitter. As long as it's around, you can write me emails, ilovereality@gmail.com. And I hope you're all doing well, though. And thanks again, and we'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.